Hello and welcome. I'm Akram and you're watching Akram's Ideas, bringing creative and crazy ideas to life. Can you believe it is already October, which means we are heading into the autumn season? And with that said, I thought it's about time that I shared with you all the many things that I made this summer. So let's get into our summer edition of Sew and Tell. Starting with this top here. So I decided this summer, back during Me Made May, that I was going to kick off the season by only sewing my UFO pile.
To see more episodes like this, be sure to click the like button, subscribe to Akram's Ideas, and hit the bell icon to get notified of new episodes.
And I actually got through a couple of my UFOs, not all of them, but a couple of them. And this top was one of those UFOs. This was actually something that I made back in like 2014, 2013, somewhere in there. It is it was originally a romper that I made from a 1960s pattern. I forget the pattern number, but I'll put it in the description below. But it was a 1960s romper that had sort of a fake skirt, I guess you could say, where it was shorts, but it looked like a skirt from the outside. It had a dropped waist, and it had, you know, this was the top of it. And that was just hideous on me. It was too tight around the waist. The whole dropped waist portion of it looked wonky on me. It just didn't fit and didn't look good. But I loved this fabric. It was a seasucker. It's a rainbow color. It's just so pretty. And so I was like, you know what? I really want to salvage this somehow. So I basically just cut off the bottom half of the romper and kept the top. The top, because it had been part of the romper, has a zipper, and I just managed to cut right off at the end of the zipper with no problems, simply because, you know, this was already a dropped waist, so the bodice part of it actually went down a little lower. This is like I said, one of my early makes, so the darts are a little high. They're not in the right place. I couldn't get the facing to stay down, so one of the things that I actually added this time around was some fun little rickrack, white rickrack around the sides here. I don't even know if you're gonna be able to see that in the video, but it doesn't bother me because I'm at least wearing this top. You know, it's a fun thing to wear around the house. Just a fun run around top for the summer. It was perfect. Like I said, I wore it around the house a lot. The only complaint is that it does have the zipper in the back, so it's a little hard getting into. It's not something that you can just throw on. But I do really like the fit of it. And since I've lost weight, you know, this actually fits a lot better than when I actually made it a couple of years ago. But like I said, it's getting a lot more wear now that it's a top versus having been that romper. While I was on the UFO kick, there were a couple of things that I knew I really wanted to make up this summer, and those were my Closet Case Patterns Jenny overalls. I cut them out last summer and I just never got around to making them. Starting with this pair of Jenny overall shorts. Basically, I cut these last summer as a test to see the fit before I got into the overalls. So if you're not familiar with the Jenny overalls pattern, you've got the overalls, the traditional overalls, the short overalls, regular shorts, and then pants. And so these were actually the regular shorts that I made up. I made up in a straight size 18. It does have a very large seam allowance just so that you can get the fit right, since they are overalls. So I think it had like a 1-inch seam allowance on both thighs, which you can then adjust as needed. And I think I actually took these in a little bit, and since making them this summer, I feel like I could potentially take them in some more, having lost some weight. But I love these shorts. I absolutely love these shorts. I love the lengths of the shorts. I love the way they come out. They have kind of a 40s look to them, in my opinion, as far as shorts go. They have a side zip with a little button or snap over. I used a button, a vintage button. It's got the traditional pant pockets and then the pockets on the back as well. Like I said, I love these shorts. I pretty much made them last summer. The only thing I had left to do was to add the waistband. But at the time, I was really wanting to get to making the Jenny overalls that I said, okay, the fit is good on the shorts, let's move on to the overalls, which I cut all out and didn't even make. So that's what I ended up doing this summer. So starting with the shorts, I absolutely love. I am so kind of kicking myself that I didn't put the waistband on it last year, because I would have worn them all summer last year. But I'm so glad that I finished them this year, because I wore them all summer long. And it's still fairly warm here, early autumn, that I can wear them probably in a few more weeks if I really wanted to. They are made out of a really lightweight chambray, and it's kind of a cheaper chambray. Again, I got all my fabric secondhand, so unfortunately it's already starting to kind of bobble on this fabric, but I swear I will wear these until they fall apart because I love them so much. But after making these and realizing how much I loved them, I had to break down and make my Jenny overalls, which I'll share next. Now, these are the first set of Jenny overalls that I made. Like I said, I cut these out last summer and I just never put them together. I think I had the bib assembled, but that was about it. And this was made out of a quilting cotton, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but it's a purple, and it's got sort of this like basket weave texture to it. I don't have a lot of more substantial weight fabric that I thought would be good for slacks, but the weight on this was fairly decent that I thought it would look good. If you recall some of my fabric hauls last year, I'd gotten these like pack bags, like goodie bags of fabric, and inside those bags were some smaller remnants of fabrics, and so I used some of that on like the bib here on the interior lining. So you can see this lining here. I don't know if you can see the fabric, but it's really nice. I really like being able to use those smaller scraps for something like this project. So I used it on the bib, I used it on the inside pockets, and so forth. Now the purple ones were actually still sort of a toil, because the real ones that I wanted to make were a camel colored linen that I had in my stash earmarked for overalls, and I actually had those already cut out but not assembled. So after I assembled this one, I went straight into the next pair. And here are my linen pair of overalls. This is absolutely my favorite set of the two sets so far, simply because it has more of a traditional overall look. Again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but it's got like the little cuff on the pant leg there, and I love this pattern. I love the wideness of the legs. I love the casual fit. I think the only reason that I don't have like 100 different versions of either the Jenny overalls, shorts, or pants is the amount of effort it takes to make them, because you've got so many pieces. You've got all your little pocket pieces, you've got the back pocket pieces, you've got the waistband piece, and then of course if you're making the overalls, you've got the bib, you've got the bib pocket, you've got the straps and everything. And I'll just do a little twirl so you can see the back here. So like I said, I am really happy that I forced myself to go through my UFO box and make some of these items. There are still a lot in my UFO box that I have not made, but I am really looking forward to trying to slowly tackle that box. And not to mention, my UFO box now has a sister box, which is the mend pile of a lot of things that I've thrifted that really just needs, you know, a new elastic put in or to be taken in a little bit. I just haven't gotten there, but I'm glad that I did get through some of my UFO. Speaking of UFOs, one of the last UFO projects that I worked on this summer was this bag. So this was kind of a UFO slash mending project. This fabric here was actually a skirt that I thrifted many years ago in hopes that one day I would fit into it. And it was never going to happen. It was like a size 6 skirt. It was not, it was never going to be. But I loved the gradient of the pink on the skirt and this floral pattern. And I knew I wanted to do something with it. So I actually get a lot of like free tote bags going to conferences, and some of them are really nice quality, like this tote bag here. But I don't necessarily want to have that logo of some random business on a tote bag. So what I typically do is I take the tote bag, turn it inside out, and create sort of an outer lining. And so the inside, with whatever logos I have, I also go in and add like a pocket or whatnot over any kind of interior logos as well. So I get some use out of it. I also, when I was doing the outer lining, I went ahead and added a snap to this tote bag because I feel like if it's got a closure, I could get more wear out of it. So this was kind of a UFO slash mending project because I had the fabric forever and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, but I really wanted to go ahead and use it in some way. So I ended up making the tote bag, but I had enough fabric left over to make this little sort of accessory bag from the same floral fabric. And the way it was cut, you know, it had the gradient, but I was able to cut it so that I have like the lighter flowers on one side and the darker flowers on another side. And I had made this from Simplicity 1387 View D, which is the little accessory bag. I had pulled this pattern out to make another bag, which you'll see later on in my little sewing towel. But since it was sitting on my sewing table when I was working on this, I decided to use this. So this has become one of my little sewing carry-on bags when I want to go to like a sewing meetup or something and I want to put a project in here. I've got my sewing stuff in here, some scissors and rulers and all sorts of little things inside this bag that I just quickly toss in here with the pattern and the fabric, and then I can take this little sewing project bag wherever I want. So I'm really happy with this. I've gotten a lot of use out of it, and this, like I said, this skirt has been sitting around in the to do something pile for like at least 6 years now. So I'm super happy that I got this UFO project out of the way. I'm really happy with all the UFO sewing that I completed, but that's not all of the summer sewing that I did. One of the fun things that me and my husband did over the summer was we went to sailing school, where you can get certified for sailing and basically learning how to sail a sailboat. And there's different tiers of sailboat school as far as what level of sailor you are. So we got certified as a level 1 sailor, so we can use what they call a keel boat, which is a very small single-hulled sailboat. And we had a lot of fun with it, but coming up to the point where we were going to go take the classes and everything, I thought it'd be super fun to make some sailing outfits. And I knew I wanted something vintage. So in my stash, I had Vintage Simplicity 5386, which is this pattern here from the 1960s. It's copyrighted 1963, in fact. And it is a pattern for both a sailor top and a pair of shorts or carpies. And I'll get back to the bottoms in a moment, but this is the first top that I made, and I knew right away that I was going to make this version of the top. I did, the pattern is for a 38 bust, and I have a 40-inch bust right now. So I did a full bust adjustment on this, and I have to say, this is like the best fitting blouse in a long time. It's just amazing. I really, really love it. I did do on the back collar here some applique where I did an iron-on, and then I also did some rickrack all around. And of course I have the little tie, which is not actually part of the pattern, but I had the little white tie that I just tie it with. And I just love this top. So much so that of course I had to make a second version of this. This is version number 2. It is made in this beautiful cotton stripe with teal or mint green, I guess you could say. It's actually a vintage bed sheet that I bought a long while ago, and it's got the perfect shirt weight. It's just a very nice thick cotton, I would say. It's not too heavy, but it's sort of a medium weight. It's not a very lightweight blouse, but it's got nice structure to it, which I think is perfect for this top. And actually, I knew I wanted to do this because this is similar to the top that is on the pattern cover. So I knew I wanted to use this fabric for this top. And I really, really love it. Again, I'm just wearing it with the bow. I didn't do any special decorations or anything on the collar. I wanted to leave it kind of simplified for that 60s look. Now, I really wanted to make matching carpies for this because I actually have some mint green kind of very lightweight denim in my stash, but I didn't want to cut into the mint green because I have a limited supply of it. So I wanted to make sort of a tester muslin. And so what I ended up making were the shorts from the pattern. And I did this as a test to see whether or not I got the fit right before I go into the carpies. And so these are the shorts. I did have to do some pattern adjustments. So the pattern size for these pants with a size 30 at the waist, and I needed a size 38. And I think even, yeah, the hip size was 40 and I needed 43. So I made some changes. I also changed the crotch depth because, like a lot of vintage patterns, the crotch was really low. And so I actually changed that and raised that and changed the sides of it so that it fit around my hips and fit around my waist. And these actually fit really, really well. I would say that I feel like I should have took into account my thigh measurements as well, because while they fit, they're a little snug around the thigh. So I find that these shorts kind of ride up a little bit because they are a little tight in the thigh. They have a side zip right here and a little snap. I will also say that the shorts are a little short for my liking. I would have liked them a little longer, but this was shorts from a 1960s pattern, so I can see this links out the 1960s style, but I did this as a test so that I could make the carpies. Unfortunately, after making these, I just never got around to making the carpies. I ran out of time, and now I'm at the point where when I first made these, they fit, but only just. But now that I've been wearing them, they're actually, I've got like a good 2-inch ease here. So I'm feeling like, do I go ahead and make the carpies based off these pair of shorts, or should I just wait until next summer because I may have lost more weight by that time? And so I'm not really sure what I want to do, because right now we're moving into autumn, and really quickly it's going to change into winter. I don't know if I'll get a lot of wear out of the carpies at the moment. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, whether you think I should go ahead and make the carpies now or make them later, because I'm kind of torn between the two. I've got fabric for both. Like I said, I've got the mint denim that I want to make with this for this one, and I also found some stretch cotton that is a red fabric that I think would look great with the first top that I made. So I'd love to hear your comments below whether I should make the carpies now or wait until next summer. But to round out the sailor outfits, there is one more item that I actually made. I also made this bag here. So I made this bag using Simplicity 1387, which I actually think I bought early on this year. It's a newer pattern, and I knew that I wanted to make View A, which is this bag. And I had this fabric in my stash. This striped fabric is actually left over from some throw pillows that I made several years ago now. And the blue fabric, you might recall, was it last summer or the summer before last, I made the lily top from Coco Waha Crafts, and I used this as some of the contrast for it, which is also another sailor style top. I love all things nautical, so it's no surprise that I would make that. So I made the bag, and the bag has some nice features. It's got snaps, so it can actually increase in size. I had gotten a whole reel of this, what do you call it, strapping at an antique store that's red and white, and I thought the contrast would look excellent on this bag. The only downside is I think I used the measurements according to the pattern, and I don't feel like it fits, but I feel like it could have been bigger. On the inside, I had this sort of nautical style yacht club fabric. It's white, and it has like these little emblems that say yacht club. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see that. So the pattern has one huge interior pocket. See, this is a good example of the interior fabrics, this emblem and everything. But it has one huge interior pocket. As you can see, I put my label on the inside there. But my problem with this bag, there are two problems with this bag. One, I really wish I had put an interior zipper pocket, because I did, you know, we went to sailing school in it and things get wet. So it would have been nice to have a zipper pocket, like certain items that I didn't want getting splashed on or worried about falling out. So that was one thing that I wished I'd done. And also carrying it like this all day gets tiring. I wish I had put some straps or some loops at the sides so that I could make a big strap to carry it around the shoulder, kind of like luggage style. And I'm tempted to open up one of the side seams and still do that, simply because I feel like I could get more wear out of it if I did that. But otherwise, I really like this pattern, and I'm really happy with our sailing bag. Now, this top was actually done as sort of a toil for another top that I wanted to make. And I was inspired by Evelyn Wood, who has a fantastic sort of thrift to vintage series on her channel, where she took like sort of a 90s caftan top and turned it into sort of a 20s kimono top. And this is exactly what I was trying to do here, but I don't think it really came out quite right. I mean, I think it's workable, but not exactly. And I was trying to just use sort of like tutorials for making a kimono top, and then instead of making a kimono jacket type style where there's a lot of free instructions on how to make that, I was trying to make it a top. And there were a couple of things. One, I made it way too big, so in the back, I don't know if you'll see, but I had to put some gathers around the neckline a little bit. And then because it was just so big, and I made the top collar a little too high as well, so I ended up making it sort of a soft V-neck, and again giving some gathers around the neckline so that it fit a little bit better. But I felt like I really needed a pattern to make this, so I went through my stash a second time, because I did look a first time and I couldn't really find anything, and I'm like, that's okay, I'll just make something from scratch, but that did not work. So before cutting into my actual fabric, I went to see what kind of patterns I had, and it turns out I had exactly the pattern that I was wanting to make the other top, which I'll put on now. So for this top, I ended up finding in my stash New Look 62868, which is this pattern here, and I did View D, which is the one on the model. Now I believe I did a size medium, because this is a loose fitting top, so it has like extra small, small, medium, large, and extra large. So I did a medium size for this, but I probably should have, or did I do that right? No, I did a large for this, but I probably should have cut a medium because the neckline was way too big. And much like the other shirt, I had to gather, and you can see it here much more extensively around the neckline for this top. So this top is actually what inspired this whole project. I was at a sewing meetup with one of my friends, and during the sewing meetup there was sort of a fabric exchange. People had brought in some fabric that they didn't want, and my friend actually picked up this fabric and said, Akram, this is so you. And so I was like, she was right. And this is just a polyester double knit. It's nothing fancy, but the print, if you take a good look, has very much like these abstract ladies and sort of bucket hats. It had a 1920s feel to me, and so that's why I really wanted to make sort of a 1920s-esque kimono top. And having made the first one and not liking it, I decided to go with a pattern. And what I'm finding is that while I need a larger bust size a lot of times, it causes the shoulders to be really, really big on me. So I need to actually cut a smaller shoulder size and then either grade or do a full bust adjustment, which in this case I think I probably just could have gone totally with the medium and been okay, because it's meant to be a loose fitting top and it's pretty loose. I think I even brought it in some because it was so big when I first put on the large. But overall I'm pretty happy with it. It's not exactly the look I wanted. I mean, I think it creates that nice kimono top, but I don't know if it gives it that 20s feel that I was looking for. This one I didn't have enough fabric to make the little tie belt, which I just self-drafted on the other one, but it is a nice top. And unfortunately the big problem with this top is that it is polyester, and because of that, even though it's like a short sleeve kind of summer-esque top, you cannot wear this in summer. You will melt. It is just, it's October and I'm melting in it already under these lights. So it's definitely something you might want to wear during the winter time if you're wearing polyester. But it was a nice practice, and I was able to find out that I actually had that pattern. But other than that, this was just kind of on a whim. I got the fabric, I came home, and I decided I really wanted to make it. So one weekend I made the 2 shirts, and it wasn't planned or anything, but I kind of like those types of projects where you just kind of like, oh, I've got fabric, I know exactly what I want to do with it. So with that said, let's go on to our last make of the summer. The last item that I whipped up this summer was this dress. This is the swirl dress from the Gertie Says Jiffy book. I kind of whipped this up in just a day. I was going to the Dior exhibit in Dallas and I wanted a new dress to wear, and I just was like, you know what, let's cut out the swirl dress from the Jiffy book. I had gotten the Jiffy book and I hadn't made anything yet, but I'm so glad that I went with this swirl dress because it is amazing. I cut the size 12 and graded out at the waist ever so slightly, but I think the fit is amazing. I know some people complain about the back having a little bit of gaping, but I think if you pull it taut enough, I think it's okay. Some people also complain about maybe the back opening, but I think there's enough overlap that I haven't had issues with it kind of spreading out or anything like that. I used this beautiful fabric that I got in a haul late last year or earlier this year, I can't remember, but it is amazing. And one of the reasons I chose this particular fabric, because I knew it was the last dress that I was making this summer and I wanted to transition into fall. And I think these colors have a lot of autumnal tones, the softer muted pinks and purples, and there's a lot of brown in here as well. So I think it transitioned really nicely. This dress overall is a pretty jiffy dress. It didn't take me long to put together. The construction's fairly easy. And like I said, it fits so well. And I think the reason it fits so well is because there's no darts on this. It's got sort of a gathered neckline. So there's no messing with the bodice here. I think it just fits very nicely right there, and so there's no big issues with that. But overall, I want to make more of these. I'd really like to make a plaid version like shown in the book, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And I've got so many other projects in the queue that I don't know if I am going to get around to it. That's pretty much all the sewing that I did. I did do the laneway dress earlier this summer. There is a video on that. I'm not even going to really talk about it because that dress was such a fail and I was not happy with it. So I'm just kind of blocking that one out of my mind right now. I did also make 2 pairs of shorts for my husband. This is one of them. The other one is actually in the wash because he's actually worn them a couple of times now. This one, obviously, I used some sort of kind of, in my opinion, kind of Hawaiian-y style fabric. It's just a quilting cotton, and the other one was a quilting cotton as well, but it had the texture and look as if it was linen. So it has sort of this pattern in the fabric that had to make it look like a tan linen. So those are actually in the wash, so I can't show you. It's got an elasticated waist, but this fake button placket on the front here, and it's got side seam pockets. It was a 1980s pattern that I had in my stash. If I can find the pattern number, I'll put it in the description below, but it's just something that I picked up at, like at a thrift store one day, and he had said he wanted some shorts, and I had that pattern, and I whipped those up. It didn't take long. All I had to do was really measure his waist and hips, and it came together really quickly. And I'm really impressed because he's loved those. He's worn them several times this summer, and like I said, the other pair's in the wash, so obviously they're getting a lot of wear. I'm really happy with all of the items that I shared in this video. I've got a lot of use of all of them, and there's quite a few of them that I want to make more of. I just don't know when I'm going to have time to do that. So with that said, I'd love to hear in the comments below which of the items that you liked the most in this video, or if you've made any of these patterns, and if you have any thoughts or suggestions about any of the items. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Akram's Ideas, and thanks for watching.
The last item that I from Evelyn Wood. So, moving on,